Jeremy Bash, I read these questions and was thinking that if Robert Mueller is investigating the president for possible obstruction of justice, he too might want to know if Matthew Whitaker was briefed on the Mueller probe and told Donald Trump about it. What do you think the chances are that not just Congress has these questions and seeks these answers, but that Robert Mueller also wants to talk to Matt Whitaker about the kind of conduct that the question shared with him covers?
I think there's a likelihood that the special counsel is interested in whether or not Matt Whitaker was specifically put in that job to replace Jeff Sessions, to constrain or starve the investigation. And I think they're interested from a prudential perspective, possibly from a criminal law perspective, as to whether or not Matt Whitaker is a conduit of information back to the White House. But I'm not convinced, Nicole, that the special counsel's office has communicated those concerns to the Judiciary Committee in the House. Sometimes there's an ability to coordinate investigations between a DOJ investigation and a congressional investigation. But sometimes when the DOJ investigation is so sensitive and so closely held, they're not even going to be willing to tell the chairman of the Judiciary Committee, hey, we're interested in this topic.
I spoke, Nick, to a congressional source close to the preparations for this questioning on the Democratic side, and he said that the questions are so basic. How did you get your job? I mean, I think sort of at the beating heart of understanding whether the fix is in on the Mueller probe is this question of how did you get your job? He was appointed chief of staff to Sessions by former White House counsel Don McGahn. He was installed to spy on Sessions after that recusal. And at least one Trump ally thought his mission was pretty clear. Here's Chris Christie on what his mission was.
I think he's really there to land the Mueller investigation, to get it done. I think what the president's attempting to do here is to have someone who's already been involved to get the Mueller investigation to its completion and then to turn the page for a new Justice Department afterwards.
So time's running out. I mean, Barr's going to be, I mean, if Christie's right, and he talks to the president, he talks to plenty of people in the White House, a lot more often than I do. If he was there to land the Mueller investigation, one, that's in conflict with my understanding of the timing of the Mueller investigation, but Barr is about to be confirmed.
Right, and also land is a curious word, right? Kind of land in what sense? Crash it into the ground or land it safely so it can be opened up and looked at? He was the inside man in the Senate team, and if you're the House Democrats, what you're looking at is a certain set of facts. He criticized the investigation to the president. The president has said how he enjoys having these Senate non-confirmed people, the heads of agencies, because they're more pliant. So it does obviously beg the question of why he was there. And he never had to run the gauntlet of Senate confirmation and ever answer these questions. So the problem here is there is a pent-up desire for answers from the Hill that Republicans did not want to get and the White House did not want to give.
I mean, that seems to be a scandal wrapped in a scandal, that the Republicans didn't want to get to the bottom. I mean, this is the Justice Department, and while no one is without an ideology, it's usually separated from the most heated partisan battles. Donald Trump attacks the investigation every day, and it seems central to find out what Matt Whitaker promised him or said to him before he got the job.
Right. It's supposed to be an independent body of the Justice, the DOJ, and it hasn't been treated that way essentially by Donald Trump, who, as you said, attacks the Department of Justice every time he can. Look, Matt Whitaker, as we've been all kind of saying, has been wholly unqualified to be the AG. So there is a question: is why are you there? And so the speculation is that he's there to be the eyes and ears of Donald Trump. But the thing is, this is not how it works. The administration cannot respond to basic questions of obstruction of justice by obstructing justice. I mean, this is not the place that we should be in. But because we're in Donald Trump's White House, this is where we are. And he's trying to get away with it, and maybe he might because time is running out, as you mentioned.
Jeremy, can you just jump in on sort of the elephant in the room? I think all the questions about Whitaker have at their core the fact that he's not held in high regard in legal circles, certainly not on the left, and not on the right either. I have never, and I've talked to a lot of DOJ officials in legal circles that worked from the 41 administration, 43 administration, that were on the other side of legal debates during President Clinton's administration and President Obama. He is not held in high regard for his legal acumen. So this question of why is he there is also of interest to Republicans. What's your theory on why he's there?
Look, I think he's there in part to make DOJ into DOJO, the Department of Justice Obstruction. And I think he's there to make sure that, first of all, as Chris Christie said on that piece of tape, that the Mueller investigation ends, that it comes to an end quickly, and that it does no material damage to the president. And more concerning, I think he's there potentially to give the heads up to the president and to the White House about what Mueller is finding. And so there are very relevant questions for the Judiciary Committee to ask this, of this acting Attorney General. And the fact that he's kind of saying, I won't show up if you threaten me with a subpoena, I mean, it's kind of a heads I win, tails you lose scenario. Basically, he's saying, I may not show up, and if you force me to show up, then I'm definitely not showing up. And I do agree with Harry. I think the subpoena threat only gets you so far, because you can really subpoena a person and you can subpoena documents. You can't subpoena answers. And so if he tries to invoke executive privilege, then it's going to be basically down to a fight between the committee and the Department of Justice that may take a very long time to litigate.